It's Patreon Thursdays. Hello, patrons. I have basically some housekeeping updates for you guys, letting you know what's coming up and what's on the board for Feedback Friday last week. I asked the populace at large for some guidance about what to do with some of these niggling I don't call them haters because I think it's more nefarious than that. A hater is just a grumpy person on the internet who is miserable and likes to make you miserable. I personally think that some of the issues that we have been collectively dealing with together connect to the original stuff surrounding the Gamergate controversy, where third-party trolls were trying to get various people who mostly objected to the process of doxing to try to fight each other and to see what would happen. And I was one of those people who believe that doxing is wrong under any circumstances. And so I think there was some of that. So it's way beyond, and then there's the alt-right, and then there's all this stuff that I've been dragged into. But these are things we have to deal with. And the issue I am facing is that just presenting my side of the facts does not work, because I have done that over and over and over and over again, and the issue goes away for 6 to 18 months and then it comes back. So that is not, and people say just put it on a website where people can see it and then we can refer to it. Well, I have. And in some cases, the initial video in question is right out there for people to go back and find if they choose. And people don't. Like, this is just what I have discovered. People don't do the work. And the general consensus was, the most common response was, respond to it if you think it's going to do any good. If you don't think it's going to, don't respond. And that was sort of in keeping with what my gut told me. But I turned it on its ear a little bit and thought, okay, are there ways to address this that actually will do some good? Are there people that can be convinced that have not yet been convinced? Those are the people you want to target. And one of your own number, one of your fellow patrons messaged me, and they're a member of a board called Kotaku in Action, which is the Gamergate subreddit. And some of you may know that I was recently on a list of the KIA favorite personalities of 2016 sort of thing. I was, I believe, the only woman in my category. One of the few, anyway. And that was part of what started up a lot of the more recent noise, is whenever you're rewarded for something, the haters get on there and go, but she's a liar, and all that stuff. And that's what kind of, that and the, I don't even want to get into the other thing, but there was a major news story about somebody else that kept taking pot shots at me, and someone leaked a private conversation I asked them not to leak involving me. I was not part of the conversation. I was the topic of the conversation, and they thought it was a big gotcha. I don't agree. And I asked this person who is, who considers himself a member of the media, I asked them not to release it. Just leave it be. I do not consent to be dragged into this, and they did it anyway. And it caused a fresh round of headache for me. And I don't know what to do when other people continue to drag me into their broiguses, right? Broigus is like feud, Yiddish. I'm big on Yiddish this week. But there's nothing I can do about that. I can't control their people. So what we decided to do is that this patron put me in touch with one of the moderators of Kotaku in Action. And we did some back and forth back channeling, just establishing some facts, trying to get a baseline between me and the mods of what is actual fact. in some of these issues. Some of this stuff is sensitive. And some of this stuff, when it's been attempted to be addressed in public, just turned into a huge amount of drama. I don't want to do that again. Because both sides of these issues involve actual human beings. And, you know, in the case of the Ralph retort, Ralph is going to jail. I don't think Ralph needs any more drama or stress in his life right now. He may not care about all this stuff coming back, but as one human being who has empathy for another human being, I do not think it's appropriate to start talking about that stuff again publicly. I do not consider these videos public. These are for you guys. You guys are my financial backers. You have the right to know these things. The reason I started doing this is in part that this is an element of disclosure almost to shareholders, right? You guys put in money. You don't have any profit participation. The least I can give you is detailed information about what is going on, okay? And so we established and they verified I was telling the truth on certain key issues. And since we managed to have a meeting of the minds on that, we are working towards doing an AMA on Kotaku in Action with me. I think this is obviously not without risk, but I think the rewards outweigh the risks. I think that it is, I believe that I will get a fair hearing from this subreddit, not necessarily a positive hearing, but a fair hearing. And I think that is all that a person can ask. I do not want people to choose sides. I want people to continue consuming any and all content that they want to consume. And part of this was I got an email, a year-end breakdown from Patreon about who other Patreon things that my patrons back, and they weren't other feminist things. Some of them were like, you know, flat out anti-feminists, but they were all sort of in that free speech wheelhouse. And so I think it's very important to do this. The top 4 cross-pollination patrons are Sargon of Akkad, The Rubin Report, Niche Gamer, and Jim Sterling. So that really tells me what you guys care about, what is important to you. And that is part of the reason that I decided to take this step. Now, scheduling is where we're at right now, and I have to figure out how to write an AMA intro. I have no idea how to do this. I have never done this before, so any advice you guys can give me about sort of that opening paragraph to start the AMA. And also, they have said that other people who have done AMAs set conditions, like for instance, Total Biscuit will not talk about his health. And I am hoping for some guidance from you guys as to what you think reasonable limits I can ask for are. Now, I can't expect everybody to honor that, but, you know, it's framing the conversation. I'm somebody who likes talking about ideas. I'm somebody who likes big ideas. Ironically, based on, you know, my critics' opinions, I do not like talking about myself. And so part of the reason I pepper the things I say with I, me, my, which supposedly makes me some sort of power-hungry narcissist, but the reason I do that is because I got into trouble before not making it clear that these are just my opinions. I didn't believe that this is what other people should think. I wasn't trying to convince anybody. This is just what I thought, just throwing it out there. And so you can't win in that regard, but in terms of summarizing myself, summarizing my work, who am I? I'm terrible at this stuff. I'm absolutely awful at it. I'm looking at other things I think matter. I think, I really only matter in the grand scheme of things, contextualizing things for you guys. I think that my opinion is much less relevant than providing you guys the information contextualized with what I think about the information and allowing you guys to think for yourself. And obviously that's somewhat successful based on, being in good company with the Rubin Report, which is essentially doing the same thing. So, this is very useful in terms of how to cultivate content going forward, obviously. But the near-term thing is the this AMA. I said let's aim for 2 weeks. Not sure that's going to necessarily happen, but it's better to shoot for a deadline and miss it than go the other way. Like I said, there are some risks to this. People can try to shit stir. I can only expect so much cover. If the mods intervene, great. I'm not expecting them to. I think it's better to hope for the best, plan for the worst kind of thing. Distrust but verify. So some people may take pot shots. I don't expect this to be a puff piece. I don't think puff pieces really benefit. There may be some short-term screaming and yelling again. That's to be expected because people are sometimes sore losers. Sometimes people won't let things go. Sometimes people will just not accept the evidence that's right in front of them. And I think a lot of the constant accusations that I have lied about things like the contents of a publicly available video, I think that's part of that, and there's nothing I can do about that. But I think this is a better solution than walking into the lion's den, going on some of these podcasts that do step. I do believe that certain groups have crossed the line between fair criticism of my work and ad hominem attacks against me as a person. I think even some of the criticisms they have had on my work have not been backed up. They've just been, oh, I can't believe she did that. Just not going to. And that I have no time for that. I completely agree that, sometimes it's appropriate to talk to your enemies, but only if enemies are willing to talk. If they're going to engage in that juvenile high school nonsense, I don't have time to waste with that. And so I think going into a place that is populated by both people who like me and who don't like me, instead of repeating the mistake of trying to go on some of these, I don't like referring to MRA programs as the enemy because I don't consider it that, but that seems to be how a lot of them see themselves when it comes to me. So that's relevant too. But the thing I have found about doing those programs is it doesn't actually pick me up any listeners who weren't already following my content and are actually open to hearing what I have to say. The thing about these MRA communities is they have certain topics of interest that I don't cover in the way they like. So the people that go on these programs to be a handy villain are doing it because to them controversy raises their profile. Raising their profile results in money results in book deals result, and so on and so forth. But I know that you guys have said to me over and over and over again, you'd rather not focus on drama, you want hard facts. And so that has informed my decision to not participate in these things. And I have said, and this was one of the process of verification that I went through with Kotaku in Action, I have said to some of these groups that I will go on and I'm happy to talk to you. I am not going to, air quotes, debate you because I don't feel like that's a productive format, but I am happy to have a discussion. Let's iron it out. Let's figure out how we can make this a productive discussion and not a screaming fest, and something that we can all respect and like each other as people, even if we disagree on ideas. and they have not been willing to have that conversation. Now, I can't do anything about it. I also have no control over whether that is communicated to all the members of the group. And so I don't think that many people have outright lied, as much as I have had conversations with one member of a particular group, and then they don't disseminate the information to other members of the group effectively. And so other members of the group go on and on and on about, she's avoiding me, she won't talk to me, she's a... when in fact I have been trying to do exactly that through the person that contacted me. And this is unfortunate, but it's something I can't do anything about. So that's what's going on. There's more stuff longer term. I know I haven't talked as much about the Kickstarter as I would like to. It's been a huge amount of getting feedback and trying to make some very difficult decisions based on a lot of conflicting feedback. And what I am working through right now is the idea that no matter what I do, somebody's going to be pissed off. And it's just about calibrating the message to piss off the right people instead of alienating, again, those people who are coming at this at least willing to listen. And this is a process, and this takes refining, and so it is being worked on. I want to give this the absolute best chance of success, because I feel that I'm not just doing this for me. I feel like I'm doing this for every gamer out there that's been maligned by a radical feminist agenda that is not actually interested in people. It's interested in that thing I was talking about, stoking controversy to raise profile, to get money, to get the book deal, to get more money. It's the outrage industrial complex. And taking that on is a big deal. Taking that on is difficult. Taking that on while not becoming part of it is a real challenge. But I feel I owe it to you guys, you know, the 200 people every month who put money, take money out of your own pocket and give it to me and expect nothing concrete in return except more content. And I feel like I owe that to you guys. I feel like I owe it to you guys to do better. And I feel like I owe it to you guys to succeed while doing better, because I don't like the way gamers have been scapegoated. I don't think that helps the whole getting, I want to be careful how I phrase this. I think that the number of women who participate in video games right now is unnaturally low, and I say this because I love the things. You guys have probably seen that. Playing RimWorld right now. Why? Just because it's an excuse to play the game for 20 minutes and then slap it in here. Look, content! No, I just really like the game. And I think it's unnaturally low, and I think it's a sampling problem, not a quality of content problem. And the approach to looking at women's role in video games has made that sampling problem worse instead of making it better. And so I definitely feel like there are issues of greater significance than just my pocketbook at play here. Money's good. You need money to live. But beyond that, there are a lot of people being maligned, and there are a lot of people missing out on happy things because of this nonsense, because of the outrage industrial complex. And I am arrogant enough to think I can do something about it. So that's where we're at right now. Would really appreciate any help you guys can provide in helping me craft this. Thanks for listening, and thanks for your support.